Working our 9-to-5 jobs had us feeling miserable and hopeless, so we did something about it and launched a YouTube channel all about music production and the music business.
The channel took off, so we launched Team Music by Lucas, or teammbl.com, as a place where music producers could get everything they need to succeed as a producer or DJ.
We launched sound banks, graphics, mixing and mastering, and an online music school.
This allowed us to finally quit our jobs, sell our house in LA, and travel the world to collaborate with other artists and producers, give speeches, and perform as a DJ duo.
With multiple tracks signed on some of the biggest labels like Spinnin Records, Musical Freedom, Hexagon, Future House Music, and Armada, I was able to continue to grow my audience for my music.
With social media as the source that started it all and continues to create more opportunities for us, we are excited to share with you some of our best tips and tricks to help you reach your goals.
Hey, it's Music by Lucas.
And Lauren C. Ray, and today we are going to talk about how to get a social media audience as a producer or DJ in 10 steps. So today we are kind of going to go over Instagram, but this works for all social media platforms. But Instagram is probably the easiest social platform to kind of get started on, and also it's just the hot social media platform, honestly, right now. So let's dive right in. So number one, you guys need to create a niche, and basically what a niche is, it's what is your personal brand? Like, who are you promoting that you are online? And I've got a very fancy definition right there if you kind of want, the Webster Dictionary version, but that's basically what it is. So you need to find out what your personal brand is, because that's what you need to be promoting on your social media. And what we recommend is that you come up with 3 to 5 brand topics that you're going to create content around and promote on your social media. So some tips.
So for your 3 to 5 topics, number one, you have to make a personal connection. So you want to actually connect with people and make them feel something that relates to them, that you have in common, and that way you guys have a connection.
So something you do every single day. Don't just come up with a random brand topic because you want to try it. It has to be a part of who you are.
And number 2, it needs to be searchable, because if nobody can search it, no one's looking for it, then you're not really going to be able to build a following with that.
Right. If no one's searching for it, that means it's probably not a brand topic that's a good idea for you. So I would just skip it and try something else.
And it needs to also have results, meaning that maybe there's other people who are already doing it on social media that have big accounts, people that you can look to as mentors, or you can see examples from.
Right, because if it worked for them, it'll work for you too. It means it's being searched. It means it's a really good topic. It means you can create a lot of good content around it, and definitely follow those accounts that you kind of want to be similar to, just to gain ideas and kind of see how it's
have some inspiration.
Exactly.
So my topic. So number one, motivational tips and mental health. I think that's something I'm really passionate about that I don't see a lot of other producers talking about.
So it's what makes you unique.
Yeah, it makes me unique, and it really connects with a lot of people because we're all going through similar stuff. Number 2, of course, tips on production, but also on social media and business, because again, that's what we are really passionate about. We have Team MBL, which is our company, and so a lot about starting business. We start our own business, so we like to share those tips. And then number 3, of course, new music, because I'm a music producer, so I want people to be able to hear my music. And number 4, travel, because we live on the road full time. And so that's obviously going to be part of my topics.
That's the Music by Lucas brand.
Right.
So who would be interested in that sort of brand, those sort of brand topics?
So definitely music producers, all types of music producers, but also there's other people I can get to, like for example, people that need some motivation or mental health.
Or entrepreneurs,
business
people like that. It's good to know who your target audience is, like who would be interested in your brand topic, so you can make sure you create the right content to be able to target those types of people. We'll talk more about that later. And for my brand topics, we're both vegan, and so I'm kind of like the vegan expert. I do a lot of recipes and cooking and tips on that sort of thing. Travel, because we travel full time, like Lucas was saying. We literally don't have a house. We live in a new city every month. Right now we're in New York City as we're filming this. And so that's a really good sort of thing to do, like travel tips, kind of travel experiences, that sort of thing to share with people. And then mental health and wellness. I've followed a lot of dreams of my own, created several businesses, so to share kind of what I've learned and what I've gone through, I think can be relatable to a lot of people, music producers and DJs as well as people interested in vegan food or becoming vegan and who likes travel. So my target audience is a bit broader, although I do have followers that are music producers who love traveling and are vegan.
It happens.
Those people are like
super fans.
My super target audience people.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So when someone sees your profile and understands who you are, what you are about, and what you're promoting, they're more likely to want to follow you. It's just clear in their mind.
You're more of an easy yes.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, this makes sense.
You don't want to be complicated.
Right.
You know, complications, especially with how fast people kind of scroll and look at people's profiles, will just get them to say no, and they won't follow. Number 2.
Yeah, so value-based content is number 2 because what you post should either teach, inspire, or entertain.
Yes.
And it can do more than one of those things. It could do all 3 of those things.
It could do all 3 of those things. So what would people be asking within your niche, within your niche?
Yeah,
whichever way you want to say it.
Yeah.
Those answers are what you should put into content. So for instance, I was going to say, for instance, what Lucas does, but if you want to look for these questions, if you don't know what sort of questions they'd ask, go to Discord, go to Facebook groups for your niche.
Go to other people's comments who are doing something similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to YouTube,
Do a question and answer on your Insta story. Places like that, you can get those answers. Yeah. So what are some questions, Lucas, that you like to answer?
For example, a lot of times people are, commenting and saying, how do you know exactly the questions that I'm trying to find the answers to? Well, it's because I read the comments. I know the questions that my target audience is interested in.
Yes.
So for example, they ask questions like, how can I get signed to a label like Spinnin? How can I get supported by DJs?
Right.
How can I collab?
And so Lucas is like, I can post something about these answers and people will find that very valuable and they'll like that. My followers will like that sort of thing, and people who fall upon his profile are going to like that. He's creating content for his target audience within his personal brand, and people are going to like that. Here's an example.
Oh, that's an example. People are always saying, I don't know what to post, so I don't know what to post. So I said, okay, I'll come up with a post that's 20 easy producer posting tips.
And a lot of people saved it, shared it. It did really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, people are asking more questions about like becoming vegan or what it is and what it means, kind of recipe questions, that sort of thing, wondering like fast and easy type of recipes, traveling, where should I go next? Is it safe to travel to this sort of country? Those types of questions I get all the time. So I create content based on those questions. Another place you can go to figure out what questions people are asking in your niche is go to YouTube channels and read the comments in the comment section. That's where I get a lot of my questions as well. And there's me doing a healthy pancakes recipe. So that's kind of like the sort of content I do that's very valuable. I mean, I'm sharing a recipe and people are like, that looks good. I can see it in the picture. I trust what Lauren says is good because she has good taste. And there's a recipe. I'm going to make it later. So it's value-based content. So people will follow you when they know they can get something from you.
Right.
When they don't feel like they're going to get anything from you, even if they like you, they may not continue to follow you or they may not follow you because people nowadays are wanting to get something from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even if it's just you making them laugh or
even like Lucas was saying earlier, entertain. But even in the inspirational, like I follow accounts just because they post interiors around their house. I mean, you would think that's not very valuable. I mean,
but she finds it valuable.
Right, because I'm like, this is, inspiration for if I ever have a house, or I just like looking at it. It's an entertaining thing for me.
Yeah.
There's value in all of those things.
Yeah.
So number 3, post shareable content.
Yeah.
This is a hot tip because if you can post content that not only reaches your target audience and is really good value, if you can make it shareable,
they will share it with their followers. You'll actually get new people, because if you're not posting shareable content, you're just posting content for the people who already follow you.
Current followers, which you want to get more.
You want to get more followers.
When you're shared by other accounts, you
are reaching more people.
Are reaching their followers, and therefore more people will come to your profile, and therefore you'll get more traffic, and therefore you'll get more followers. So we have some examples of what kind of shareable content works really, really well.
Yeah. So this is some examples. So screenshotted tweets have worked really, really well.
Yes.
Carousel graphics, memes, of course, photos with long captions, which they'll engage with more, save more, want to share more.
Yes, those are like basically you take a photo of a long caption and you scroll and it's more of that caption. People like to be fed in a carousel sort of format, and it creates good value.
Yeah,
and
it's easily digestible.
And people like to share that more than they would just a picture with a caption. Although sometimes they do share that as well, which is the last thing that we mentioned.
Right, but your goal is to try these different things that you think might work for you and then see the results.
Yeah, and so Lucas uses tweets all the time. Because they're very shareable and people really, really enjoy them. And if you're worried about your aesthetic that you're trying to do, I recommend doing the picture that fits your aesthetic and then making it into a slider again with the information.
Where you swipe and the information comes next.
Because when people share things, they can actually choose which slide they share into their Insta story.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is an example of a post that I did on 7 producer posting hacks that will help you grow faster on Instagram, and it got a lot of shares because, again, it was something that my audience was interested in knowing more about, and they were like, whoa, I also want to share this with some of my friends. So
exactly. Posting hacks or tips, really, really great type of content that people will like to share.
Definitely. Yeah,
memes.
memes always work really, really well because people can relate to them. So they're like, oh, this is so me,
Right.
or it's just so my friend.
Right.
Sliders.
So,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, tips from Maurice West, slide to see his
Yep.
best tips,
Yep.
that sort of thing. For me,
Ooh,
I like
that
to
one's
post
good.
recipes. People will share my recipes because they're like, I'm making this tonight, or this looks good. Or they'll save it because they're like, I'm going to make this later.
Yeah.
This is a tweet, which is like how to boost your immune system. People like to share it because they're like, wow, this is a really good tip. Maybe my grandma wants to see this too. She just might. And then, a picture of me in a place. I love to do these where I'm like traveling, and then I say like, oh, the 10 must-dos in Marrakesh. And honestly, I listed all 10, and I also did pictures of each one. As you slide, you get to see each one that I think is a must-do. So people like to do that,
That's cool.
share that, and look at that. And this is basically what it looks like when somebody shares your post.
In their story.
In their story, it looks like this. So you have to imagine what kind of photo or what kind of value can I put into a post that people would want to share in their story, and it would look like this.
Yep.
So they'll see your profile and think, yes, this person has deliciously valuable, shareable
This works for
content.
me.
I need to follow them.
Yeah.
Like, I follow quote accounts because I'm like, I like these quotes, and I'm going to share them on Insta story for my followers to see these quotes, and so they get exposure like that.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So we're gonna dive in deep and show you some more ideas later. But number 4,
collaborate.
collaborate.
Yeah, so you guys know this a lot with music production. When you collab with other artists, of course, you can also do this on social media. You can also collab with brands by sharing, they're tagging them.
I would
doing
say
things.
the number one thing to do is just tag. And I mean in your Insta story and your feed, anywhere, your reels, wherever. Because if you tag a certain brand or a certain artist and it's personally made for them, like it works really well
Right,
for them.
not just spam.
Right, they're always looking for content. They'll repost it and you will be exposed to all of their followers. It's a really good idea to do. Don't just randomly tag people or brands in things that don't make sense because they're not going to share it. And so what's the point?
Take the time, put in a little bit of effort, and make it something that is a personal connection.
We're going to show you some examples. Okay, so Airbnb wrote this article about me, and I was posting about it, and I also tagged Airbnb because I was like, if they repost it, that's a lot of people.
Exactly.
And then this person was on one of our Friday night chats, Q&As.
On
we
Discord.
always bring an artist on, a really big artist on to answer your questions on Friday for free on Discord.
Or Spinnin, we brought them on too.
Hey. And they tag us. People will take a picture or a video of them on the chat and they'll tag us. We always repost them. Like, it's genius that they're doing this because I'm always going to repost you. And then, me and Lucas tag each other and repost each other all the time. Like, Lucas is like, I'm eating this delicious recipe from Lauren, and I'm like, look at Lucas, he's crazy.
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's
common.
pretty much it.
Okay.
These are examples of how someone posted about me doing a Skype coaching with them, and I reposted it. So I shared them to my followers, and then I was doing a demo stream where I was checking demos, and I tagged the artist, and the artist shared me to their followers. And then I was on a radio show, and people were posting about, oh, Lucas was on the show, and then I reposted it. So it's all ways to get exposed, collaboration with other people's audiences.
Exactly. And my number one tip is also to do takeovers, like Instagram takeovers, but with audiences that are going to be similar to people who would want to follow you. So for instance, like other accounts that are similar to yours. So other music producers, other DJs that are maybe at your level with like follower count or maybe a little bit above, that's your target right there, to try to do a collaboration with them. Because then if you are doing their takeover and people see your content and it looks exactly like somebody else they already followed, they're more likely to follow you.
Yeah, takeovers are really cool because it allows you to have like a personal connection with another person's audience or company. Like for example, if I have a track with Spinnin and they just post, new track by musicbyLukas, that's cool. But if I do a takeover and now I'm talking to the followers, I'm like, hey, I'm musicbyLukas, this is what I'm about. I hope you're doing well. Let's do a Q&A. Let's get to know each other. Now there's a much more likely personal connection and a more likely situation where they're going to follow.
Yeah, rather than just tagging, I feel like you get more engagement, more profile visits for like a takeover sort of thing. Come up with more ideas of your own. These are just examples that Lucas and I do that have worked for us, but there's so many other ways. like these.
Yeah. So this is an example of how I did a Discord party where I tagged all of these artists that were going to be at the party, and they all shared it, and everyone was just sharing, and it got like a whole bunch of exposure. Robbie Mendez used one of our presets from one of our sound banks.
Yeah, and he created content that he knew that we would probably repost. He created content he knew we'd share.
Yeah.
He was genius with this because, hello, 1, you used our sound banks.
Yeah.
2, your song is fire.
Right.
And 3, of course we're going to repost this.
Exactly.
Just like, think of things
Just
like that.
think of things, because like we didn't ask him to do it. He thought of it. He made it personal
and he
connection.
knew we would want to repost it.
Yeah, and we
share it.
reposted it on all of our accounts, of
It's
course.
genius.
Yeah, and then Team MBL Radio is our radio show.
That's something we came up with as a good sort of thing to share.
Yeah, because all of these artists who we support in the show, a lot of them share the content, and that gets us out to their audiences. Right, because we tag them.
Remember, tagging, that's the number one thing.
Yeah, but there has to be a reason why you're tagging them, not just for no reason.
Yeah, because I do get tagged in some stuff that's really random, and I'm not going to repost that because it doesn't make any sense for me, my followers, or my personal brand.
Right.
So number 5, repurpose your content. So a lot of times you think, oh my gosh, I have to create so many things for so many platforms for so many reasons. And the truth is you can actually repurpose your content in new ways. We're going to give you a few ideas here. So one is, if you're going to post it on your feed, just break it up into slides on your Insta story like I have here. So for instance, I posted about this vegan brownies recipe. So the first slider is best vegan brownies ever. Next slide, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Next slide, the recipe.
Right, breaking it down.
And then right here, I have this reel of these nachos I was making. The recipe is in the description, so it adds value. It's fun to watch. I can also post that in my Insta story. I can also post that in my feed. Then IGTV right here. With IGTV, you can put a clickable link in the description, which is amazing.
Yeah,
I created a vegan cookbook. I created this vegan ebook. So I did this video, What I Eat in Quarantine, and I showed all the recipes that I made from this cookbook with the link in the description, just to get people to kind of see that. So you guys are in music, maybe you can come up with something for
Tutorials.
IGTV about your song or something, and the link to play it or to listen to it is in the description. Things like that. Just come up with new
repurposing your content. For example,
he did basically the same
thing.
I did
what's your artist pitch as my main post, and then I broke it down in my story into a more Instagram story friendly content, like something that people would engage with, because some people just share the post, directly into their story, but it doesn't get as much results as something like this, or people will actually read it and actually engage with it.
Yes. So you have to kind of sacrifice something here. So basically, you want to get more comments and more likes on your post, so you put it into your feed. But wouldn't you rather have people get to know you better or actually read your content? They're more likely to do that if you do it in this way rather than, hey, look at my last post. People are clicking through stories like this.
Right.
They're not going to stop, go to someone's post, read it, and then go back to Insta stories to click through again. They're not going to do that. So this is something we came up with. Yeah. Well, actually, I came up with it.
Yeah, exactly. But you can figure this out all just by checking your analytics, and you can check your story analytics and see, hey, do I get more engagement if I, just put new post, or do I get more engagement if I break it down like this?
Yeah, just experiment with different ideas. That's what we're saying. So don't work harder, work smarter. So if you're filming a really cool video, this is something I do. When we go somewhere, like to a location or something while we're traveling, I'll take several videos, just regular videos with my phone, and I'll put them up on my Insta story. And then what I'll do is I'll take those videos and edit them down into a 15-second reel and post that into my reels, post that into my feed, maybe repost that into my story, and I just keep using the same things over and over again, because your followers aren't all going to see everything you post every time. And if you can just promote your personal brand more and more and more, they're not going to mind seeing the same thing twice, especially if you redo it slightly like I'm talking about. And that's something that we also recommend you doing for different platforms. Yeah. So yes, of course, within Instagram, you have IGTV, you have Insta Story, you have Feed, you've got all the
all these things going on.
So you want to kind of change them
just
for
tweak
the different ones. You also want to do that with Twitter, with TikTok,
YouTube community,
with Facebook,
YouTube stories.
Change it so that it matches the followers on that platform, so that it looks like content for that platform. Right. But just repurpose it.
Exactly. Just repurpose
that's
your
another
content.
Idea.
And then the aesthetic and alternating your topics. So again, we talked about the topics in the beginning. You want to come up with 3 to 5 topics that are personal to you and something you want to post about. And then your aesthetic is, Lauren likes to talk about this a lot.
Well, Lucas is really the aesthetic guy. I'm more about the aesthetic on the brand topic. So I always like to make sure I do a recipe every once in a while and do travel stuff every once in a while. And just kind of, you can tell right here on the slide that I rotate, when I show food and when I don't show food sort of thing. And then on Lucas's, which is the next slide.
So my aesthetic
is more of the aesthetic.
Yeah, so there's something something interesting about this. You're like, why do you have this giant block of tweets?
Black bar.
And there's multiple reasons for this. One is because they do perform well, and so I like to post them more often. But
they're savable and shareable, which we talked about earlier.
Another reason why there's so many of them when I have the block of them is because if someone stumbles upon that, let's say someone shared it or something, and they see this tweet and they're like, ooh, I like this, I wonder if there's more. Well, when they go to my profile, they immediately see this giant long list, and it's your eye goes straight to it. And now you're like, well, I kind of want to follow this account because I want to read all these, even if I can't read them all right now.
Yeah, I love this content. I'm in.
Exactly.
And the thing is, with an aesthetic, it's just more pleasing to the eye, and it already feels like, oh, this is going to be a fun account to kind of follow. It's kind of extra credit in a way, but I think it's a really good idea if you want to be able to rotate your branding topics better, is if you create an aesthetic so that you can remember, oh yeah, I did vegan, recipes this day. I need to do travel this day.
Right, so you can rotate.
It kind of helps with that, and it just looks nicer.
Yeah.
So number 7, use the right hashtags. So discoverability is really important because the more people who discover you, the more people look at your profile, the more followers that you're going to get. And how you can do that is by using the correct hashtags. So let me explain what that means. So 1, pick hashtags that really fit your niche. Don't pick random hashtags, okay? Like if you have a picture of food, but you hashtag waterfalls, it's like, waterfalls? This doesn't make any sense. The people aren't going to want to follow you. You get what I'm saying? Like you want to use hashtag music
use the ones that go with the photo and with your aesthetic and with
your brand topics.
Yeah, exactly.
Like with me, I do vegan and travel. I do vegan travel, but like if it's a picture of my food, I'm not going to do hashtag travel, even though my profile is travel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you want to stick to the photo as well, like Lucas was saying.
Yeah.
Number 2, pick large hashtags and small hashtags. And I don't mean like the length of a hashtag. I mean how many people follow that hashtag. Because yes, on Instagram, people follow hashtags. So for instance, hashtag travel has millions of people follow that hashtag.
Yeah.
And when they follow a hashtag, it shows up in their feed. So you're going to want to put big hashtags in your pictures, because then your picture will show up in the people's feed who follow that hashtag.
Right.
You're also going to want to do micro hashtags, smaller hashtags where people under 500,000 follow, because you'll show up in more feeds because less people
more
follow
often.
them.
There's less
That's
competition.
why I say use both. And another good thing is number
Good
3
balance.
is don't use the same hashtags over and over and over again all in a row, because Instagram's algorithm reads that as a bit of spam, and then they're not going to want to promote your post on the browser page, etc.
You can create hashtag groups, and then you can have different ones. Like I have one for my studio shots, I have one for my motivational ones, social media tips, so you can rotate that too.
That's something that's a little tip. So for instance, Lucas follows hashtag music production. So he saw this meme in his feed. So he's gonna like it. He's gonna engage with it. Maybe he's gonna follow We Are Producers.
Shout out.
They're gonna see you if you use the hashtags in their feed. That's how it works. But here's another hot tip: use it vice versa. Follow hashtags within your niche and branding topic. So follow other people who are hashtagging similar content to what you hashtag, because when they show up in your feed, because you're following that hashtag, and you like or comment, they're going to see your like and your comment. They're going to come over to your profile, and also the people
engaging.
And also the people who commented on that post as well might come over to your profile. And because they use that hashtag, it means they're interested in that sort of thing, which is exactly what you provide over on your profile. They're more likely to follow.
Exactly.
Okay, number 8.
Yeah, have a clear username, profile picture, bio, and highlights. So it's really important that everything goes together.
Everything goes together.
You only really have a couple seconds for someone to preview your profile if they like your post, for example.
Those are basically the first things somebody sees when they head over to your profile.
So it's important that you really focus on those. So again, your username, you really want to make sure that people know exactly what you're about when they see it.
In your username. So Music by Lucas. They already know music's involved. Okay, mine is Lauren Z. Ray. That doesn't tell you what it's involved, but in my name I have Lauren Z. Ray Vegan Travel, which also works. So if you can't fit it into your handle somehow, put it in your name. But I would highly recommend, if you're a music producer or a DJ, to put music and DJ in your handle.
Yeah, somewhere in there, not so-and-so official or something that doesn't really make people
because official doesn't make sense because they don't know what you're official of. So music or DJ, highly recommend on that.
Yeah.
Number 2, your profile picture.
Yeah, so your profile picture should be definitely something that grabs attention and isn't just like a logo.
It should make sense for your branding topics as well. Like for instance, if you're a comedian and you're really like model serious, unless it's part of your joke, I guess, you just kind of want to match everything, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then your bio.
Yeah, so your bio, you want to make it short to the
Yeah.
point and explain exactly what you're about.
Why they should follow you, what to expect, what value you kind of give. So for instance, I tell you all that in my bio. So I say vegan, travel, and wellness tips.
Right.
So you know everything's
you're
going to
gonna
be
get.
about vegan and travel and wellness, and you also know you're going to get tips. So you already know from the bio, even before looking at my content, what you're going to get. That's a really good idea to put in your bio.
Yeah, and then also, of course, your call to action, which is like how you're using that link in bio and telling people, you know, this is the link, go check it out. That's also really important. And then your highlights, of course, those can go with your aesthetic. They should be your highlights of your 3 to 5 topics.
That's what we recommend. Like each highlight being one of your branding topics.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's
and then
Lucas's.
here is mine. So it tells you exactly, obviously, music by Lukas, but then of course, producer and DJ. It tags Lauren Z. Ray. It tags Team MBL, and then it also tells you the link in bio. It's very simple, very straightforward, and then the highlights, they all go with my topics, and they also match my overall aesthetic.
Yes, you can look at ours as examples of that.
Yeah.
So for instance, if someone's searching like a niche or a topic or a hashtag that they're interested in, if you put it in your handle, you're more likely to show up. Like when you type in vegan, even though it's not in my handle, Lauren Z. Ray Vegan Travel does show up. And yes, it's because the person who searched it is following me, but it's a good reminder even so.
But an example is you type in music and you're going to type in music producer, but before you type in the producer part,
shows a bunch
music
of,
by Lukas pops up, music by Brooks pops up.
Yeah.
You know,
so you want to kind of have that in your handle, or at least in your name.
Exactly.
Number 9, post
consistently.
consistently.
Yeah.
So people want to know what they're going to get from your account, but they also want to know how often they're going to get it. Like I know when I'm going to follow someone, even if I'm really excited about them, honestly, even if they're super famous and have a lot of followers, if they don't post often, I never follow because I'm like, I'm never going to get anything from them. So what's the point of following them? It's like, what's the point?
Also, Instagram and all the other social medias want to promote creators who are consistent and who are trying to, you know, that are more engaged with all the different things that they offer.
Yes.
You know, Instagram is not trying to help people go to Facebook. I mean, help people go to YouTube, help people go to, you know, other companies.
Yeah.
They want to keep people on their platform. So if you're posting consistently, they're like, this is a good person to recommend.
Yeah, so we recommend 2 to 3 times a week to post. That kind of helps the algorithm to know this person's serious. This
person's active.
And also followers or potential followers, when they come and see that you post that often, they're more likely to follow.
Exactly.
So number 10.
Show love to your followers. It's the last, and it sounds silly, but it is like the most important thing.
If somebody took the time and the chance to want to follow you and your content, that means they like what they saw and they're in. And that is showing you love. So you to show love back for them being here it's a must.
I think it's one of the most overlooked things. It's very, very important.
Yeah, they're there for you. You should show appreciation and love for that. And we have some tips on how you can do that.
Yeah.
So, number 1, DM anyone who messages you back, or at least try to get to all of them, depending on how many
Obviously,
DMs
some
you
of them
get.
are spam, you know, give me money and I'll make you verified or whatever. Like that, you don't have to DM them back, but people that are real, DM them back.
Comment to anyone who comments on your reel, on your post, anything, you know.
Yeah.
Message new followers and tell them, hey, you know, thanks for the follow. I'm so excited that you're here. Things like that. It creates a conversation. It shows them that you care. It shows them that you noticed that they followed you.
Exactly.
If a follower tags you in a post, comment on it, tag it, repost it, show love, and then share your followers' content.
And then they're going to be more active with your next post. They're going to be liking your post next as they feel more connected to you. They're going to be commenting more. And they're also not going to unfollow you in the future. They're going to see you as like a best friend. You know?
Can't. You've just, there's love there.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
You can't.
Exactly.
Like here's an example of somebody who I was like, hey, thanks for the follow. Nice to meet you virtually. And she was like, hey, nice to meet you too. Like, I love traveling. I love food, especially veggie, vegan food. Also, a friend of mine told me you were going to be around New York City and I was supposed to go. So really looking forward to your content. Somebody, word of mouth, recommended she follow me.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly showing love, and whoever told her to come over like felt that from me and said, you're gonna love her and she's got great things. And I was able to know that because I reached out to her in the first place. And then we started having a whole conversation after this about like different tips I had because she was a vegetarian who wanted to go vegan and was interested in if I had any tips. So, I mean, it just starts from these tiny little things, but creates such a great relationship. And honestly, like for me personally, the reason why I'm even on social media is for that connection. Like I love providing value to people and them providing value back. And I love this like give and take relationship. I think it's amazing. And if you're not coming at at it from a place of where you are excited to provide value to people, you're going to give up, because it's hard work and you have to do it all the time, and you have to be creative and you have to be in the mood and you have to be really excited about the content you're putting out. So make sure you're choosing brand topics that are really, really important to you and that you do every day naturally and that are a part of you, because it's a tough world out there for social media, but you can tell the people who are passionate about it, and you can tell the people who are excited about it. And wow, it is so amazing and exciting when you find like-minded individuals who follow you back. I'm sure you guys already know that from just being on like Discord accounts or even going to different like conferences and stuff, to seeing people who are going through the same thing as you and are excited about the same things as you. It's an exciting time, and you can have that happen all online, especially during these days when a lot of things are online. It's great that we have that opportunity.
Absolutely. That's what you want, is to really build that personal connection, especially if you only have a small following. Build them into a small army, and then you can really grow from there.
Yes, and I want to give an example really quick about sharing and stuff, is that Lucas was on I think you were on the Team MBL account at the time, and you posted about who you supported for the radio, and then this these artists, I think it's a duo, they reposted that and said, thank you so much for the support, and re-tagged Music by Lukas, not Team MBL. So Music by Lukas reposted that. They reposted the original tag from Team MBL, and I'm sure they reposted that. Music by Lukas reposted that. They reposted the original tag from Team MBL. I mean, the amount of followers
keeps going around and around.
So just keep showing love, keep reposting, keep tagging other people, keep doing all these steps, because it really, really will work if you follow all these steps.
You'll really start to notice the growth, and when you notice the growth, you're going to get so excited by it, and like Lauren said, you're going to be more passionate about it, and you're going to put so much more into it, and it's just going to keep growing.
It definitely will, and don't get frustrated if it takes a while to discover what your brand topics are. I'm pretty sure that it took me like 4 or 5 years.
It took me a while too. Because you really have to realize what you like, what you're about, and that can change over time. You might think you're interested in one thing, and now you're interested in another. You test out different things. You see what works, what doesn't work.
And it does just take a lot of time. We, as you saw from the intro video, it took us a little bit of time too, but we're so excited that we started. I don't think there's any wrong time to start. I would say you should start as soon as possible. Don't even wait to like come up with your brand topics and all of these things. Just start experimenting, because it's a lot, and it can take a while to get down. So I would say just start, doing whatever and coming up with creative ideas, and don't get too frustrated with it, and don't get anxious about it. Just take it easy, have fun with it, because it'll flow, it'll naturally come. It might take a while, but just always see it from a really fun point of view. Otherwise, it is really hard to continue to do. We luckily have now started and established something we really love, and we're really excited about it. We're excited about you guys watching this, and now you're here. So if you want any more value-based content, etc.,
on Discord,
follow us
DM,
on Instagram.
At
Music by Lukas, at Lauren Z. Ray. You know what we're about now. I mean, we gave you several examples. So if you liked our value-based content,
send us a DM.
Tag us, we'll share it, etc., etc. You can start
here.
You
know we will. You've seen it.
And roll the ball. And thank you so much for listening. And
go get them.
We'll talk to you in the DM. Bye.
Bye.